What up, everybody? It's Friday, June 14th. Happy Last of Us Day. Let's talk PlayStation. So before we go into the actual cover story of today's episode, let's cover up some of the details about PS4 that came out after Sony's conference. You know, some of the details that we were a little fuzzy about. Shuhei Yoshida has confirmed the PlayStation 4 is region-free. Region-free being, of course, that you can import a game from Japan and play it on your PlayStation 4. If you have a European PS3, you can play American games. This is something we have with PS3 currently, and now PS4 is going to support this, which is good. A lot of people like to do that. I myself have never taken advantage of it, but I know a lot of people like that, and it's cool that it's on PS4. Not only that, we do know that PS4 is shipping with a 500GB hard drive, but Shuhei Yoshida has actually also confirmed that much like the PS3, we can swap out that hard drive if we choose to do so we can actually upgrade our PS4s to possibly a terabyte, 2 terabyte, 3 terabytes. We can swap out the hard drive. It's also relevant to note that Sony's Andrew House has talked about multiple SKUs for the PS4, so possibly other bundles that, you know, a little bit more expensive, but it comes with maybe another game, another controller, more gigabytes, but of course that's kind of to be expected. I mean, PS3, Sony did so many bundles for PS3 and PSP, even back in the day with PS2, so that's kind of, you know, sort of obvious. But of course, going back to the swappable hard drive and region-free, these are two things Xbox One's not going to provide. I mean, Sony is just on fire right now. They're killing it, knocking it out of the park. I mean, and this is good. I want to be able to upgrade my hard drive. I want to be able to import games, even though I haven't done it myself personally. I would like to know that I could do it, and of course other people are going to do it. But with that said, let's actually talk about the accessories of PlayStation 4, one being the actual PlayStation Eye camera, the one that we don't know a whole lot about it yet, just a couple of specs, and Sony barely shows it off or talks about it. The camera is not going to be bundled in the PS4. That is going to be an extra add-on that you must buy, you know, separately for $60, which kind of emphasizes that Sony's not going to make the PlayStation Eye camera certainly, you know, necessary to the PS4, kind of like with the Xbox One. You know, they're doing a whole different thing. Sony's saying, look, it's the same thing. We're making it separate. You don't have to buy it, which also kind of alludes to Sony not making it, you know, putting in all this integration with PS4 games. I mean, basically, I wouldn't expect the camera to have huge influence on PS4. I'm sure it's going to have some cool connectivity, maybe even something similar to Xbox One where you can say PlayStation on. I don't know, but I mean, it's clear that Sony's not making this thing. They're not putting much emphasis on it, much like Microsoft's doing with their Kinect. So here's something we've never talked about on this show. Of course, this is Let's Talk PlayStation, so before this was never relevant to PlayStation, but now it is. Do you guys know about the Oculus Rift? I hope you do. It's very cool. It's virtual reality. These glasses, basically, that you put, goggles you put on your head, and you're basically getting a first-person view of the game, like straight up, you know, you're in sort of that experience. And of course, this is something that was kickstarted, and it's being shipped. You know, some development kits are being shipped to people right now. Obviously, it's mostly being demoed for PC, but Sony is actually quite interested in it. In a conversation with Engadget, Shuhei Yoshida basically said, Sony does have Oculus Rift development kits, and they have been messing around with it, and Shuhei Yoshida actually really likes it a lot. And when he was asked, is it going to be supported on PlayStation 4, he said, no comment, and smiled. I mean, Shuhei Yoshida isn't fooling anybody. The company has development kits. We really like it a lot. No comment. You know, this is really cool. I would love to see Oculus Rift on PlayStation 4. I'm primarily a console gamer, and you know, for me, I'm seeing Oculus Rift all over the internet. I'm checking it out. I think it's really cool technology. Certainly, if it's done right. And yeah, I would love to see this sort of thing come to fruition on PlayStation, obviously. Maybe to experience it on some of the greatest PlayStation franchises that are available. That'd be really cool, you know? Hey, I'm all for technology that's going to possibly move this industry forward, and I'm glad that Sony's, you know, looking at it and certainly wanting to support it and get in on that and actually help it move forward. I look forward to it if it actually does come to PlayStation 4, which I think is very likely at this point. So let's talk a little bit about the PlayStation Plus thing, how it is now going to be required for PlayStation 4 if you choose to play online with your PlayStation 4. One notable news story is that some MMOs that come out on PS4 will not require PlayStation Plus. Some MMOs. So that right there, you know, there's some sort of free online instance on the PlayStation 4. But more back on the topic, PlayStation Plus. Is it really a bad thing that it is now required? It's kind of a hot button issue. A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people have different opinions. Now, as I've said before, I don't agree with them requiring it. And that's not me saying I hate it, and that's not me saying I don't want to pay it. That's just me saying I don't agree with it. If it were me running Sony, I wouldn't have required PlayStation Plus. Purely because, at least to me, it seems like, you know, because the whole thing was, you know, PS3 didn't have nearly as good of an online experience as Xbox 360. Therefore, you know, the thing with PS3 players and PlayStation Network players was, you know, well, our service is free. If they were, you know, if they charged for PS3 back then, it would be totally a, you know, no-brainer situation, but there was always an upside to PlayStation in that respect. PlayStation 4 now has cross-game chat. It has all these features that make online really fun, like, native sending invites and receiving invites, all that stuff that made 360 great, right? Sony has caught up to that online experience. So to that point, it's like, if they didn't require it from a business standpoint, it would have been like, hey, our online is just as good as the competition, and we're still not charging you for it. That's what I'm saying. It would have looked good in that respect, right? That's why I still don't kind of agree with them requiring PlayStation Plus, simply because, Xbox One and PS4, if it was still free, then it would have looked really good compared to the two, But here's why them requiring it is actually not a bad idea, even if they chose to not require it. I think there would have been good pluses to both sides, but why they would require it, here's some good ideas. One being, we've never had two consoles that require pay for online, right? It was only Xbox with Xbox Live Gold. So now that we have two that are required to play online, it brings the question of consumers. Honestly, think about this: how many consumers are going to buy both systems and then pay to play both of them online? That's where it really gets into an interesting conversation, because back then it was Xbox 360, PlayStation 3. If you had both of them, you bought third-party games on one system, and then you bought exclusives on the other. That's kind of how, I think it's fair to say that's kind of how it was, right? And so in that case, it was usually Xbox 360 because of its chosen, its better online experience. And of course, that user was paying Xbox Live Gold. So it was always Xbox 360, was the chosen platform to play. If someone was buying third-party games on PS3 and playing other online games on PS3, it was usually because they didn't own an Xbox 360. That was usually, it's fair to say that that's usually what the case was. Fast forward now to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and we've got two systems with basically the same online features. One's really not outclassing the other in that respect. So now they both require online. If one consumer buys both of these systems, they're going to pay for one of these services, and they're not going to pay for the other. And it brings to question now, why would you pay for one or the other if both things are the same? Cross game chat, native game invites. Which do you choose? And this is why PlayStation wins in this respect of why this consumer would pick PlayStation Plus. Now, not only is Xbox One down a peg or two because of its online and use game restriction, but Sony is also up in the respect that PlayStation Plus, as I've said before, kicks the crap out of Xbox Live Gold. I mean, now that PlayStation Plus is required to play online, not only are you paying to play online, but you're still getting all the extra benefits of PlayStation Plus, which if you haven't been onto the service, they offer good games to you, like a lot of good games to you. And of course, tons of discounts, really good ones too. And it's a bi-weekly thing. So every 2 weeks, you're getting benefits. I shouldn't have to tell you why PlayStation Plus is great. I'm not trying to sell you on it. I'm not a Sony advocate. I just prefer the platform. But, you see where I'm getting at, right? If a consumer is going to buy an Xbox One, a PlayStation 4, both online features are the same, which service are you going to end up paying for? They're giving incentives as to why you should choose PlayStation Plus over Xbox Live Gold. Even if Microsoft does offer 2 free games, it does not beat what PlayStation Plus is offering. So in that respect, Sony is requiring this. So everybody that wants to play online is going to have PlayStation Plus. You're forcing consumers into what is a great service, right? But like I said, I still see some really good advantages to not requiring it, because of course then it's like a super no-brainer consumer decision to buy PS4 over Xbox One. But even if they do require it, there's still some very good advantages there, and Sony is obviously smart to think about that stuff and require it. So guys, E3 is basically over. We know a whole lot more about PlayStation 4, and we have a good perspective of, if you really want to get into it, Xbox One versus PlayStation 4. Sony's doing really good right now as a business. And of course, there are reports that PS4 pre-orders are certainly outpacing Xbox One. Sony's in a really good position business-wise, so I hope in the coming months of other events like TGS and Gamescom that they keep this momentum up. And of course, The Last of Us is out. I am doing a Let's Play for it, alongside Spyro Year of the Dragon, of course. If you've been seeing the uploads throughout the week, there definitely is a lot of Spyro going up, and now The Last of Us is going up too. I just want to say, if you don't want to watch the Let's Plays, don't watch them. I totally get that. Some people want to watch just this, that's just fine. But, if you do want to watch The Last of Us, check it out. Obviously, I'm going to be reviewing it. Not sure how relevant that'll be because the game has so many raving reviews, but I will give my opinion on it as well. That concludes this week's episode of Let's Talk PlayStation. I'm Ryan Benecki. Thank you all for talking with me, and I'll see you guys next Friday.